You know, it's one of those questions that gets right to the heart of being human, isn't it? Why do people hurt people? We've all been there, on the receiving end of a cruel word or a thoughtless act, and you're just left spinning, wondering why. But what if the answer isn't just, simple meanness? What if there's something way more profound going on? So let's really dig into that question. We're going to peel back the layers of what looks like just plain old aggression and see what's actually hiding underneath. And to do that, we'll draw on some incredible insights from both philosophy and spirituality that point to a really fascinating and I think a really empowering answer. All right, let's start with what we see right on the surface. An aggressive act. It usually looks like a show of power, right? Someone puffing out their chest. But there was at least one philosopher who was convinced that what we're seeing is actually the exact opposite. That philosopher was Friedrich Nietzsche, and he argued that what looks like strength is so often just a mask. He believed that when someone tries to dominate you, to belittle you, it's not coming from a place of confidence at all. It's coming from a deep, inner despair. It's a symptom of nihilism, that awful feeling that life is meaningless, and they're just projecting it outward in a desperate attempt to feel anything, even if what they feel comes from causing pain. And what's so wild is that Nietzsche wasn't alone in this. From a totally different universe of thought, the spiritual text A Course in Miracles says the exact same thing. That big, grandiose display of power, it's just a cover for despair. And this idea that aggression is really a costume for inner pain, well, that's the key to unlocking this whole thing. So this brings us to the main event, the central idea of this whole explainer. And I gotta tell you, it's a concept that once you really get it, it can change how you experience personal attacks forever. It just completely flips the script on what's actually happening. And here it is, transference of shame. The idea is that all bullying, all teasing, all abuse, it's basically an attempt at a transfer. The person who's attacking you is carrying this unbearable weight of their own shame, their own feeling of worthlessness. And their attack, it's a desperate, probably unconscious attempt to hand that crushing weight over to someone else. The philosopher Simone Weil just nails this dynamic perfectly. She saw that harming someone isn't just an attack, it's a transfer. The person is literally trying to give away their own sense of degradation, their own feeling of being broken or fallen. So the next time someone attacks you, I want you to picture it like this. They are trying to hand you a very painful package. It's a gift of their own shame, and it's become way too heavy for them to carry anymore. Their subconscious goal is to make you feel the exact pain that they can no longer stand to feel themselves. Okay, so if malice is really an attempt to give you this toxic gift of shame, what do? Well, now that we get the mechanism, we can learn the antidote. And it's not about fighting back. It's about refusing delivery. The antidote is a simple 3-step defense. And the magic is it happens entirely inside your own mind. First, you recognize the attack for what it truly is, not a reflection on you, but their desperate attempt to offload their pain. Second, you consciously refuse to take it. You hold on to your own sense of self, your integrity. And finally, you reframe what you're seeing, which means you start looking for the real person behind the messy attack. And here's Simone Weil again, giving us the key to that second step, refusal. She says that if you let an attack degrade you, you can't ever really forgive. But if you see that the attack has no real power to lower you, that in fact it only reveals your own inner strength, your true level, well then the attack completely loses its sting, which brings us right to that third step, reframing. This quote from A Course in Miracles is just brilliant. It suggests we should look right past the insane behavior of the attack and choose to see the sanity in the person. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore the harm. It means you remember that there's a part of them that is whole, that is not shamed, that is totally separate from their lashing out. You're choosing not to engage with the attack, but with the person behind. So by internally refusing to accept their gift of shame, by refusing to let yourself be degraded, you basically perform a kind of psychological alchemy. The attack is rendered powerless. It was sent out, but it never found a home. You keep your peace, and their shame, It stays with them, where maybe it can finally be healed. So, just how far can we take this principle? I mean, what's the limit? To answer that, A Course in Miracles offers this really radical reinterpretation of a very famous historical event. It uses it as a kind of thought experiment to show us just how powerful this internal refusal can truly be. It asks us to look at the crucifixion not as an execution or even a sacrifice, but as an extreme teaching example. According to the text, it was a demonstration designed from the ground up to prove a single, incredibly powerful point about the true nature of any attack. Now, the claim here is it's audacious. It's suggesting that the worst possible attack you can possibly imagine, the most vile, painful assault that our ego could ever dream up, it simply does not matter. That it can have no real effect on our true inner self. And that is the final lesson of this demonstration. The power of any attack, whether it's a taunt on the playground or the most outrageous assault, lies entirely in our choice to accept it. If you refuse to be harmed on the inside, then on the level that truly, truly counts, no harm was ever actually done. And so, here we are, the ultimate response. The most powerful way to refuse that gift of shame and fear is to embody its complete opposite. When you're faced with an attack, you teach love, simply by being the love that you already are, undegraded and fundamentally unharmed. So the next time you feel that sting of someone's malice, maybe just ask yourself this question. What if the answer isn't about building thicker walls or learning sharper counterattacks? What if the real power, the real freedom, lies in a simple, quiet shift in how you see things? By recognizing their pain, refusing their gift, and remembering the love that you are.